Alright, back out in the garage tonight. We're going to try to get this top end done tonight. This is the kit I ordered off of eBay. It was the seller was actually a Honda dealer, I want to say out of Michigan. But he had a pretty good price. I want to say the whole kit was like $104 or $107. Came with the piston, the ring, a couple circlips, the wrist pin, bearing, and gaskets. So I didn't think that was a bad price. I called my local Honda dealer, and he had to order it. It would have actually taken longer, I think. And he was right around $120 for everything, so they weren't far off. But for genuine Honda stuff, I didn't think that was bad. Alright, so I'm about to hone this. But before I do that, I just want to kind of put a warning out there that do your research on your cylinder, because a lot of the newer cylinders are coated with something. I think one of them's called Nicosil or Nicosol. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's like a nickel coating, and I think different manufacturers use different types of coatings, but they're all different. And from what I understand, you're not supposed to hone those. A lot of people say just use a like a Scotch-Brite pad. And even then, I would probably be careful how aggressive that pad is. But this one here, I'm 98% certain it's steel. It's a 2000 cr-125. If anybody watching this, knows more about it, comment below, please. But like I said, I'm certain it's steel. I stuck a magnet to it. That doesn't prove it 100% that it's steel, because even with the nickel coating, if you have a strong enough magnet, it would probably still stick. But I used a real chintzy magnet, like a refrigerator magnet, and it stuck good. And like I said, I've been working on this kind of stuff for a long time, and it looks like steel, feels like steel. The magnet stuck to it, so I'm comfortable saying it's steel. So if the 2000 cr-125 came with a plated cylinder, this either got changed out at one time, or he had it re-sleeved and opted to go with just steel, maybe because of cost or whatever. But once again, I don't have the manual yet. The guy I bought the manual from, I think he's sending it by horseback. So I'm going by what I'm finding online. So anyhow, I just want to put that out there. Definitely do your own research, and if you do have a coated cylinder, make sure that you're going to do it properly. Don't hone it if it's going to do damage. Alright, so we're getting ready to hone this now. We took the honing oil and we coated the entire inside. You don't have to go crazy with it, but just make sure it's covered, and then put some honing fluid on your hone. You want to start out with this spinning a little bit, because if not, you're going to get hung up more than likely, and you could end up breaking some of these off. Should be all it takes. Alright, I'm done with the honing, so I'm going to go ahead and clean this out really good now. I'm going to use some Crc Brake Clean. This stuff here, I got this in particular because it says leaves no residue. Whether that's completely true or not, I don't know. But definitely make sure you clean it out really good. You don't want any debris or anything left in there. And once that's clean, we can start putting this back together. Okay, so we're going to start by taking the bearing and putting it in the top of the crank. Make sure the inside of this is clean. Coat it with a little bit of two-stroke oil, and coat that a little bit as well, and then that'll slide right in. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and install this piston now. We're going to give it a light coating of oil. We're not going to go crazy on it. Let's get a light film going all the way around. Alright, so we're going to pop this in now. The IN in, that's your intake side. So that's going to go that way. This is your exhaust side. We're going to slide this piston over, and then we're going to stick our wrist pin through. Okay, so we got the wrist pin in there, and we set the first circlip. It's probably hard to see, but there's a groove that circlip has to set in. Make sure it's in the entire way. You don't want that coming loose on you. So now that the one side's in, you can take your wrist pin and push it in as far back as it'll go until it hits the back. And now you should have enough clearance to put your other wrist pin in. Same thing, make sure that seats. Once that's seated, we're ready to put the cylinder on. Okay, so we got the piston in there. Both circlips are in place. I made sure they're secure. So now we're going to put the ring on. Just get it started on one side and let's work it around. It should pop right in. It's pretty simple. But now, if this will focus, hopefully you can see that pin in the piston, and your groove in the ring should be lined up with that. Alright, we're going to go ahead and place our gasket on. Alright, we're getting ready to slide our cylinder on now. Double check your ring and make sure that it's lined up with the pin on the piston. You know, make sure your gap is in line. Squeeze it with your fingers the best you can, and then you're going to take this and you're going to slide it on, and try to keep that ring from moving the best you can. Alright, we're getting ready to put the head gasket on. There is a right and a wrong way to put this on. This is labeled up, so obviously that's going to go up. But before I do that, when we first took it apart, I cleaned this up the best I could. Now I'm taking a little brake clean on a rag and just going to clean it up a little bit better before I put this on. Alright, we're going to go ahead and put the top on now. We got our new head gasket on. It only goes on one way, so you can't screw it up. Slide that on. And we're going to go ahead and put our nuts on. Once I get these finger tight, I'm going to get the spark plug, and I'm just going to stick the spark plug in there loosely for now, because we're done for tonight, and I just don't want anything falling in there. Okay, so we're just about wrapped up with the motor. We got everything tightened up. Just wanted to say again, make sure that you look up your torque specs, and make sure you torque everything down, especially your cylinder head. And I know I said this a few times already, but especially tightening down, make sure you do your star pattern. And I set this to 20 foot-pounds. That's what it was calling for. You know, just make sure that that's correct for your bike. Yeah, I think we're ready to install this, and hopefully we'll be hearing it running soon.